The Galactic Council's perfect order. The Galactic Council ruled the universe with pride and precision. Formed by the oldest and most advanced species, it was the ultimate authority, ensuring peace and order. With thousands of planets and countless species under its protection, the Council believed its system was flawless. Each species followed strict laws, and those who disobeyed faced swift and brutal consequences. Humans, a new addition to the galactic community, were seen as insignificant. Their home planet, Earth, was small and isolated, and their technology was primitive compared to the mighty civilizations of the galaxy. The Council considered them harmless, perhaps even foolish, for trying to join the vast universe. Many Council members laughed when humans first requested recognition. "They are like children," one elder said. Years passed, and humans stayed quiet. They traded a little, explored carefully, and caused no trouble. To the Council, this was proof that humans posed no threat. No one expected humans to be bold or dangerous. One day, everything changed. In the Council's Grand Monitoring Station, a young Vren officer named Kale noticed something strange. His multi-eyed face showed confusion as he studied the readings. "This can't be right," he muttered, double-checking the data. A massive object was moving through the farthest edges of Council space, bigger than any known ship. The object, a ship of unimaginable size, moved slowly but deliberately. It didn't match the design of any known species. "Unidentified vessel detected," Kale announced. His voice echoed in the quiet control room. High-ranking officers gathered around, their faces grim. They observed the data as the ship continued to move. It was heading straight for the heart of Council territory. The silence in the room grew heavy. "Send a probe," one officer ordered. A small, speedy drone was sent to investigate. When it got close to the ship, it sent back clear images. Everyone gasped. The ship was unlike anything they had seen before. Its black, metallic surface reflected no light. It was covered in strange symbols and bristled with weapons. "It's a dreadnought," Kale whispered. The word alone carried weight. A ship designed for war, destruction, and dominance. "Whose is it?" another officer asked, though they already feared the answer. Kale hesitated before speaking. "It matches human designs, but it's far beyond anything humans should be capable of building." The room filled with murmurs. Humans? Impossible. The Council had always believed humans were weak and disorganized. How could they build something this powerful? Within hours, news of the dreadnought spread to the Council leaders. An emergency meeting was called in the Great Chamber. The room was enormous, designed to hold representatives of every species in the galaxy. Holograms displayed the dreadnought for all to see. The Supreme Chancellor, a wise and ancient being known as Thalvok, opened the meeting. "This ship has entered our space without permission. It violates our laws and threatens our peace. We must decide how to respond." The room erupted into chaos. Some representatives shouted for immediate action. "Destroy it before it gets closer," cried the Volan ambassador, a fierce insectoid warrior. Others urged caution. "We don't know their intentions," said a calm, amphibious delegate from the Trilaxian species. "Perhaps they mean no harm." A third group mocked the situation. "Humans? Really? They can't even colonize their own solar system properly." "This must be a mistake," sneered the arrogant Izarn delegate. As the arguments continued, a report interrupted the meeting. The dreadnought had sent a message. It contained one word: prepare. The chamber fell silent. The word was simple, yet chilling. What were the humans asking them to prepare for? A discussion? A battle? Something worse? Thalvok raised a hand to quiet the room. "We cannot let fear rule our decisions," he said. "We will study this dreadnought. We will determine its purpose. And we will respond with the strength of the Council." Despite his calm words, doubt filled the hearts of many. How could humans, the weakest and least respected species, suddenly challenge the great Galactic Council? It seemed impossible, yet the evidence was undeniable. As the meeting ended, the dreadnought continued its steady approach. The universe watched in tense silence, waiting to see what the humans would do next. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council felt the cold touch of uncertainty. Their perfect order, their unshakable power, was now under threat, and it came from the one species they had always dismissed. Something had changed, and everyone could feel it. The Council's emergency meeting. The Great Chamber was in chaos. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy argued, shouted, and accused. The holographic image of the human dreadnought floated in the center of the room, a silent and ominous reminder of why they were there. The vessel loomed in its sleek blackness, its weapons glinting faintly under artificial light. Supreme Chancellor Thalvok banged his crystalline staff against the floor, the sharp ringing sound silencing the room. His eyes, a deep amber that reflected centuries of wisdom, swept over the assembly. "Order," he commanded. "We face a threat unlike any before. We must act as one, or we may not act at all." An uneasy hush fell over the chamber, but tension lingered like a storm cloud. Ambassador Varric of the Volan, his chitinous body shimmering with urgency, stood to speak. "This ship is a declaration of war," he hissed, his voice a sharp metallic screech. "Humans have overstepped their bounds. They must be destroyed before they reach our core systems. To hesitate is to invite disaster." The Trilaxian delegate, a smooth-skinned amphibian with gentle features, raised a webbed hand. "Destruction may not be the answer," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We do not yet know their intentions. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but they have never shown such aggression before." The Izarn ambassador, tall and snake-like, slithered forward, his scales glinting in the dim light. "Humans are an insignificant nuisance," he sneered, his forked tongue flicking out with disdain. "This is a bluff, a pathetic attempt to gain attention. We should ignore them and let their arrogance collapse under its own weight." A new voice interrupted the debate. It came from a shadowed corner of the chamber, soft but filled with dread. "This is no bluff," said Kale, the young Vren officer who had first detected the ship. His presence in the meeting was highly unusual, but his testimony had been deemed critical. All eyes turned to him. Kale hesitated, his multiple eyes blinking nervously. "I studied the dreadnought's systems," he began. "Its power core is beyond anything we've encountered. It has the capability to destabilize a planet's orbit or vaporize an entire fleet. This is not just a warship. It's a statement. And the message is clear. Humanity has evolved." The room erupted again, but this time, the fear was palpable. "How did they build such a thing?" someone demanded. "How did we not see this coming?" another asked. "What do they want?" Chancellor Thalvok raised his staff again, silencing the crowd once more. His expression was grim. "We must uncover their purpose before they reach us. A direct attack could provoke a conflict that none of us can afford. We need answers, not assumptions." But they sent us only one word: "Prepare," Varric snapped. "Prepare for what? An attack? A negotiation? A warning? This is a threat, plain and simple." Thalvok's gaze turned to Kale. "Officer, has the dreadnought shown any signs of aggression beyond its presence?" Kale shook his head. "No, Chancellor. It disabled the probe we sent but didn't destroy it. It could have attacked our border patrols but didn't. It moves steadily, almost patiently." "Then we still have time," Thalvok said. "Time to understand what we are dealing with. I propose we send a delegation to communicate directly with the humans." The chamber erupted once more, but this time the voices were more divided. Some applauded the Chancellor's restraint, while others saw it as weakness. As the debate raged, a sudden alert interrupted the proceedings. A hologram appeared, showing the dreadnought in real time. It was now closer than ever, its massive silhouette blotting out distant stars. Then, for the first time, it acted. A brilliant beam of light shot out from the dreadnought, striking an uninhabited moon nearby. The beam didn't destroy the moon, but carved a deep, precise canyon into its surface. The message was clear. This ship was capable of unimaginable destruction, but it was holding back. The chamber fell silent, the implications sinking in. "They're showing us their power," whispered the Trilaxian delegate. "A warning, perhaps." Falvok stood tall, his voice steady but heavy with concern. "This is no longer a matter of debate. We must act. Prepare a diplomatic team and ready our fleets. We will approach the humans cautiously, but we will not go unarmed." The delegates nodded reluctantly, their fear uniting them in a fragile truce. As the meeting ended, the dreadnought continued its silent advance. The galaxy watched, waiting for humanity's next move. For the first time, the Council felt the weight of its own vulnerability. The humans, once dismissed as insignificant, were now the greatest enigma the galaxy had ever faced. What did they want? And why now? The answers would soon shake the galaxy to its core. The failed interception. The Galactic Council moved swiftly. A decision had been made. The humans' intentions had to be clarified, but not from a position of weakness. They would intercept the dreadnought with their finest fleet, a show of force meant to demonstrate the Council's dominance without provoking outright war. Admiral Valfar, a legendary commander from the Volan species, was chosen to lead the mission. His ship, the Vanguard, was the pride of the Council's military, equipped with the most advanced shields, weapons, and technology. Alongside the Vanguard, 6 other capital ships formed the interception fleet. Each was a testament to the Council's power. In the control room of the Vanguard, Admiral Valthar stood tall, his chitinous exoskeleton reflecting the dim blue light. He addressed his crew with confidence. "This human ship is nothing more than a showpiece," he said. "They aim to intimidate us, but they will learn the true meaning of power. We will stop them here, and they will leave our space, or face destruction." The fleet jumped into hyperspace, exiting near the dreadnought's location. The massive human vessel loomed ahead, a dark titan against the backdrop of distant stars. Its hull, smooth and featureless except for glowing lines of energy, seemed to absorb the light around it. "Open a communication channel," Valfar ordered. The communication officer complied, sending a message to the dreadnought. "This is Admiral Valfar of the Galactic Council Fleet. You are in violation of Council space. Cease your advance immediately and state your intentions." The crew waited in tense silence. Seconds turned to minutes, but no reply came. "Typical human arrogance," Valfar sneered. "Prepare to disable their engines. We'll force them to stop." The fleet moved into formation, surrounding the dreadnought at a safe distance. The Council ships powered up their weapons, targeting the massive vessel's engines. The Vanguard fired first, a precise burst of energy designed to cripple, not destroy. The other ships followed suit, their beams converging on the target. But the dreadnought did not flinch. The energy beams struck an invisible barrier, dispersing harmlessly in a shimmer of light. The crew of the Vanguard stared in disbelief. "Impossible," Valfar muttered. "Their shields shouldn't withstand that level of firepower." Before anyone could react, the dreadnought retaliated. It didn't fire weapons or launch counterattacks. Instead, a low-frequency pulse emanated from the ship, spreading outward like a ripple in a pond. The pulse hit the Council ships, and one by one, their systems began to fail. "Admiral, our engines are offline," one officer shouted. "We've lost weapons control," cried another. "Shields are collapsing." Panic spread across the fleet as the ships floated helplessly in space. The dreadnought had rendered the Council's most powerful vessels useless without firing a single shot. Admiral Valfar clenched his claws, his pride wounded. How are they doing this?" he demanded. A calm voice interrupted the chaos. It came from the dreadnought, its tone neutral but commanding. "Admiral Valfar, your actions have been noted. We have chosen not to retaliate. You may consider this your only warning. Do not interfere again." The transmission ended abruptly. The dreadnought resumed its steady advance, leaving the Council fleet stranded in its wake. On the Vanguard, Valthar sat in stunned silence. He had faced countless enemies in his career, pirates, rebels, and rogue factions, but never had he felt so powerless. The dreadnought hadn't just defeated them, it had humiliated them. The fleet sent a distress signal back to the Council, explaining their failure. The response was swift. The Supreme Chancellor's message echoed across the Vanguard. Return to base. You are not to engage the human vessel further. The diplomatic solution will now take precedence. For Valthar, the order was a bitter pill to swallow. But deep down, he knew there was no other choice. The humans had proven that their technology and their resolve were far beyond what the Council had anticipated. As the fleet limped back to Council space, the dreadnought continued its journey, unstoppable and unchallenged. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the moment when the humans would finally reveal their purpose. In the silence that followed, one thing was certain. The balance of power had shifted, and the Council's perfect order was beginning to crumble. A mysterious passenger. The Galactic Council convened once again, this time in subdued silence. The failure of Admiral Valthar's fleet hung over them like a storm cloud. The human dreadnought's effortless victory had shaken their confidence. Species once proud and defiant now looked to one another with doubt and fear. Supreme Chancellor Thalvok stood in the center of the great chamber, his crystalline staff glowing faintly in the dim light. The dreadnought continues its advance. Our finest fleet lies powerless in its wake. Yet the humans have shown restraint. They demand that we prepare, but for what, we still do not know. It is time we uncover the truth before it is too late. The Council murmured in agreement, but no one had a solution. Then, from a far corner of the chamber, a voice spoke, cold, deliberate, and laced with unease. I may have an answer. The room turned toward the speaker, a shadowed figure cloaked in deep indigo robes. As they stepped forward, the collective gasps of the assembly confirmed their identity. Arvok Rain, leader of the Vren species. The Vren were a secretive race known for their cunning and ruthless diplomacy. Their involvement in council matters was often met with suspicion. Arvok's presence now only deepened the growing tension. What do you mean? Thalvok asked, narrowing his amber eyes. Arvok's smooth, expressionless face betrayed no emotion. It may interest the Council to know that our species has prior history with humanity. The chamber erupted in whispers. Thalvok raised his staff to restore silence. Explain yourself, he commanded. Arvok hesitated, his long, pale fingers gripping the edge of the podium. Decades ago, the Vren discovered humanity during their early attempts at interstellar travel. They were unorganized, primitive, and desperate to expand beyond their homeworld. We saw an opportunity to establish dominance early. We offered them an alliance under false pretenses. The room grew colder as the truth unfolded. We provided them with limited technology, just enough to inspire trust. But our true goal was intelligence gathering. We captured one of their diplomats, an influential figure in their fledgling space program. We interrogated them, harshly. Arvok's voice faltered for a moment. Unfortunately, the diplomat did not survive. We ensured there was no trace of the incident, no evidence of our involvement. A wave of outrage swept through the chamber. Representatives shouted accusations, their voices echoing off the walls. You violated council law. You betrayed an ally before they even posed a threat. This is why they're coming. Thalvok raised his hand again, his voice cutting through the chaos. Enough. Arvok, why has this come to light only now? Arvok straightened, his voice regaining its icy composure. Because I believe this dreadnought is humanity's response. They've discovered the truth. Their silence and restraint are not acts of arrogance. They are deliberate. They are giving us a choice, to acknowledge the betrayal and make amends, or to face the consequences. The room fell silent as the weight of Arvok's revelation settled in. What consequences? A delegate asked nervously. Arvok's eyes narrowed. Humans are a species defined by their capacity to adapt under pressure. Their history is one of survival against impossible odds. If this dreadnought is their answer to betrayal, then it represents more than a weapon. It is a message. They are no longer the weaklings we once dismissed. They demand respect, and they will take it by force if necessary. Thalvok turned to his advisors, his mind racing. What do you propose we do, Arvok? The Vren leader hesitated. Surrender me to them, he said quietly. The chamber erupted once more, this time in shock. You can't be serious. This is a ploy to save yourself. What guarantee do we have they won't retaliate further? Arvok raised a hand to silence the protests. It is not about guarantees. It is about survival. The humans are not here to destroy the council. They are here to make an example of me. If my sacrifice prevents a greater conflict, then so be it. But do not think they will forget or forgive further defiance. Thalvok studied Arvok for a long moment, his face unreadable. Finally, he nodded. Very well. Prepare a diplomatic envoy. We will offer Arvok reign to the humans and seek their terms for peace. But make no mistake, this decision is not born of weakness. It is a calculated choice to preserve the balance of our galaxy. As the council dispersed, Arvok stood alone, his mind heavy with the weight of his actions. Somewhere, aboard the approaching dreadnought, humanity waited, silent, patient, and resolute. And for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council found itself at the mercy of a species it had once considered insignificant. The dreadnought drew ever closer, its purpose growing clearer with each passing moment. Justice, delivered in the cold, methodical manner only humanity could command. The human demand. The diplomatic vessel, Aurora's Light, drifted cautiously toward the massive human dreadnought. Its polished silver hull gleamed faintly against the black void, dwarfed by the sheer size of the monolithic human vessel. Inside, the council's chosen envoy, a mix of diplomats, scientists, and Arvok Rain himself, sat in tense silence. No one spoke as the dreadnought's shadow engulfed them, the void pressing down like a weight on their minds. Arvok, pale and uncharacteristically quiet, adjusted his ceremonial robes. His sharp, calculating demeanor was gone, replaced with something unfamiliar: fear. He knew the human's rage wasn't just directed at him, but at the arrogance of the council itself. A mechanical hum vibrated through the ship as the dreadnought engaged a tractor beam, pulling the Aurora's Light into its docking bay. Once inside, the ship's engines powered down, and the bay doors closed with a deafening clang. "They've taken control of our systems," the pilot whispered. "We're locked in." The doors to the docking bay opened, revealing a group of figures waiting in the distance. They were human, tall, imposing, and clad in sleek black uniforms. Their expressions were calm, their posture unyielding. At their center stood a woman with a commanding presence, her silver hair tied back tightly. She wore no visible rank insignia, but her authority was unmistakable. "I am Commander Elise Varon of the Vindicator," she announced, her voice firm yet emotionless. "You requested this meeting. Speak." Thalvok's holographic image flickered into existence beside Arvok. The Supreme Chancellor had insisted on overseeing the negotiation remotely. "Commander Varon, we come in peace," Thalvok began, his tone measured. "We seek to understand your intentions and resolve this matter without conflict." Elise's icy gaze swept across the room before landing on Arvok. "You misunderstand, Chancellor. This is not a negotiation." She stepped forward, her polished boots echoing in the silence. "We already know the truth about your council's betrayal. We are not here to debate or forgive. We are here to ensure accountability." Arvok took a shaky step forward. "Commander Varon," he began, his voice trembling. "I am Arvok Rain of the Vren. I take full responsibility for the actions of my people. The capture and death of your diplomat were crimes. I offer myself in exchange for peace." Elise's gaze didn't waver. "You think this is about one life, one betrayal?" she asked, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. "Your actions were a spark, but the fire has grown far beyond you. This is about the arrogance of your council, how you dismissed us as weak, unworthy of respect, how you assumed our silence was submission." Thalvok intervened. "And what is it you demand, Commander?" "Punishment for Arvok. Recompense. What will satisfy humanity's need for justice?" Elisa's lips curled into a faint, humorless smile. "Justice. You misunderstand us again, Chancellor. We do not seek justice. We seek balance." She gestured, and a hologram materialized in the air. It displayed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with Council-controlled territories highlighted in blue. A single red dot marked Earth's location, small and isolated in comparison. "For decades, we endured your scorn, your restrictions, your mockery," Elise continued. "While you basked in your so-called perfect order, we grew. We innovated. And now we stand before you, not as conquerors, but as equals." The room was silent, the gravity of her words sinking in. "Our demand is simple," Elise said, her tone final. "Arvok reign will face human justice. The Council will formally acknowledge humanity as a sovereign power, free from your oversight or interference, and you will ensure that no species dares to repeat the mistakes of the Vren." Thalvok hesitated. The terms were steep, but not unreasonable. Yet the fear of humanity's power lingered. "And if we refuse?" he asked cautiously. Elisa's expression hardened. She raised a hand, and the bay doors opened. Outside, a view of the void stretched before them, along with the sight of several Council outposts, their lights flickering erratically. The dreadnought had disabled them as easily as it had Admiral Valther's fleet. "This was done without firing a single shot," Elise said coldly. "Imagine what we could do if we weren't holding back." Arvok turned to Thalvok's hologram, his voice urgent. "Do as they say, Chancellor. Humanity has given us more mercy than we deserve. Do not provoke them further." Thalvok considered this for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. "The Council will meet your terms, Commander Varen. We accept your sovereignty, and Arvok reign is yours." Elise inclined her head slightly. "Wise choice." Guards stepped forward, securing Arvok with restraints. He offered no resistance, his expression resigned. As they led him away, Elise turned back to the Council's envoy. "Our business is concluded. Return to your Council and spread the message. Humanity does not seek war, but neither will we suffer disrespect again." The Aurora's light was released from the dreadnought's hold, its systems restored. As it departed, the dreadnought remained in place, silent and watchful, its purpose fulfilled, for now. In the days that followed, the Council's acknowledgement of humanity rippled across the galaxy, forever altering the balance of power. A new era had begun, one where humans stood not as underdogs, but as equals, wielding a power no one dared to underestimate again: humanity's power and restraint. As the Galactic Council debated how to handle the aftermath of the humans' demands, the dreadnought Vindicator remained an ominous presence at the edge of their core territories. Its silent watchfulness unsettled even the most stoic of species. For the first time in centuries, the Council felt vulnerable, not to chaos within, but to an external force that defied all their expectations. Inside the Council's central chamber, arguments raged. Many feared that even with their compliance, humanity would seek further vengeance. Others believed the dreadnought's restraints signified that humans were not conquerors but protectors of their dignity. The Council, for all its centuries of experience, found itself in uncharted territory. Supreme Chancellor Thalvok spoke, his voice heavy with weariness. "They have not fired a single shot in anger. Their power is undeniable, but so is their discipline. Humanity is not a force of chaos. They are a force of calculated purpose. We must proceed with respect, not fear." Despite Thalvok's words, doubt lingered. Meanwhile, aboard the Vindicator, Commander Elise Varen convened with her officers in the war room. The holographic map of Council space displayed before them glowed faintly, its once imposing boundaries now irrelevant to humanity's reach. "Status report," Elise said curtly, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. An officer, a young man with sharp features, responded. "The Council outposts remain disabled, Commander. No attempts to restore their systems have been made. Surveillance indicates their fleets are retreating to defensive positions." Elise nodded. "As expected. They fear us, but they also underestimate us. Their submission is pragmatic, not sincere." A senior officer, a grizzled veteran with streaks of gray in his hair, spoke up. "Do we escalate, Commander? This is the moment to show them the full extent of our capabilities." Elise's gaze sharpened. "No, that is not our purpose." She gestured toward the holographic map, highlighting Earth's position. "We do not seek to rule the galaxy. We do not need their territories or their resources. What we need is respect, and the assurance that no species will ever again presume to exploit or harm us." Her word tongue in the air, a reminder of the mission's true goal. "Prepare the demonstration," Elise ordered. The room fell silent. The officers exchanged uneasy glances, but obeyed without question. Back in Council space, alarms blared across dozens of star systems. At first, it appeared that nothing had happened. No ships entered their space, no weapons were fired. But then, the stars themselves seemed to ripple. In the skies of countless planets, streaks of light carved impossibly intricate patterns. Moons shifted in their orbits, ever so slightly, causing tidal waves and auroras that defied explanation. On a barren, uninhabited planet near the Council's capital, the ground shook violently. Seismic readings spiked, and a nearby mountain crumbled into a perfect circle of rubble. From above, the destruction formed a massive, unmistakable symbol, the sigil of Earth. The Council watched in awe and horror as humanity displayed its power, not through destruction but through precision. The message was clear. Humanity could reshape the very fabric of the galaxy if it chose to, yet it left no lasting damage, no loss of life. Supreme Chancellor Thalvok stood on the observation deck of the Council's capital, his amber eyes fixed on the distant streaks of light. Behind him, his advisors murmured in hushed tones. "This is a show of dominance," one muttered. "No," Thalvok corrected, his voice steady. "It is a show of restraint. They could have destroyed us 100 times over. Instead, they have given us a warning we would be foolish to ignore." A transmission arrived moments later. It was from Commander Elise Ferron herself. "We have proven our capability," Elise said, her expression calm but firm. "You have seen what we can do. Understand this. Humanity does not seek war, nor do we crave power over others. But if we are threatened again, if we are betrayed, we will not hesitate to protect ourselves. This is not a promise. It is a certainty." Her words echoed across the chamber as the transmission ended. Days later, the Vindicator turned and began its journey back toward human space. It left no debris, no scars, only a galaxy forever changed by its presence. On board, Elise stood on the observation deck, staring out at the endless stars. One of her officers approached. "Commander, was it wise to let them go unpunished? They betrayed us. They killed our diplomat." Elise turned, her expression unreadable. "We have punished them, Lieutenant, not with destruction, but with the knowledge that they will never hold power over us again. Fear fades, respect endures." As the Vindicator disappeared into hyperspace, the galaxy exhaled a collective sigh of relief. Humanity had proven its strength, not just through power, but through discipline and restraint. And for the first time in the Council's long history, they understood what it meant to face an equal. The galaxy had entered a new era, one shaped not by conquest, but by the quiet, unyielding will of humanity. A new era of respect. The departure of the dreadnought Vindicator left an eerie silence in its wake. For days, the Galactic Council chambers were quieter than they had been in centuries. The usual debates, posturing, and scheming were replaced with a deep collective introspection. Humanity's demonstration had not only disrupted the Council's systems, but shattered the illusion of their invulnerability. Supreme Chancellor Falvok addressed the assembly in a somber tone. What we have witnessed is not a declaration of war, but a statement of equality. Humanity has shown us the limits of our power and the consequences of our arrogance. From this moment forward, we must change how we govern this galaxy. Far across the galaxy, in human space, the mood was far different. On Earth, celebrations erupted as the news spread. The Vindicator's mission had been a resounding success. For the first time in their history, humanity was no longer seen as the underdog, the outsider, or the lesser race. They were equals in the galactic community, and no one would dare dismiss them again. In the central command of the Terran Alliance, a group of leaders convened to discuss the next steps. President Elena Vasquez, the leader of Earth's unified government, stood at the head of the table. Her expression was calm, but her eyes burned with determination. Commander Veron's actions have set the stage for a new chapter, she began. But we must tread carefully. Respect is earned, not demanded, and while the Council now understands our strength, it is our responsibility to show them our wisdom. Admiral Duncan, a gruff man with decades of experience, leaned forward. Respect is one thing, Madam President. Trust is another. The Council betrayed us once. They could do it again. Elena nodded. True, but the best way to prevent betrayal is to ensure that cooperation benefits everyone. We will extend an olive branch. Let them know that humanity seeks partnerships, not domination. The room buzzed with cautious approval. The Vindicator had proven humanity's capabilities, but the future would be built on diplomacy as much as strength. In the Great Chamber of the Galactic Council, Supreme Chancellor Falvok proposed sweeping reforms. No longer would the Council dismiss emerging species as insignificant. No longer would they exploit the vulnerabilities of weaker civilizations. We were wrong to see humanity as lesser, Falvok admitted. Their growth, their resilience, their ingenuity, all of it is a testament to what we overlooked. Let this be the beginning of a new era, where the Council serves not as rulers, but as protectors and allies to all species, great and small. The reforms passed with overwhelming support, driven by the fear and respect humanity had instilled. Months later, humanity was invited to the Council's capital for an unprecedented event, a formal ceremony recognizing the Terran Alliance as an equal power within the galaxy. Commander Elise Veron stood at the forefront of the human delegation, her uniform crisp and her expression steady. As she walked through the towering halls of the Council's citadel, she could feel the weight of every gaze upon her. The ceremony was grand, attended by representatives from every corner of the galaxy. Supreme Chancellor Falvok himself presented the official acknowledgement, his amber eyes meeting Elise's with genuine respect. Commander Veron, Falvok said, his voice carrying across the chamber, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we recognize humanity as a sovereign power and an equal partner in shaping the future of our galaxy. Your strength has reminded us of humility, and your restraint has taught us wisdom. May we move forward as allies, not adversaries. Elise accepted the recognition with a slight bow. Chancellor Falvok, humanity accepts this acknowledgement not with pride, but with purpose. Together, we can create a galaxy where no species is underestimated or forgotten. The room erupted in applause, a sound that echoed through the halls and into the annals of history. Back on Earth, as the human delegation returned, Commander Veron addressed the people in a live broadcast that reached every corner of the planet. Today, humanity has secured its place among the stars. But let us not forget the path we've walked to get here, the struggles, the sacrifices, the lessons. We stand not as conquerors, but as a people who demanded respect and earned it through perseverance. Our future is brighter because we dared to believe in ourselves. Her words inspired billions, not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. Humanity's rise was no longer a story of revenge or defiance. It was a story of unity, resilience, and hope. In the years that followed, humanity became a cornerstone of galactic diplomacy. Their innovations in technology and their unique perspective on survival brought new solutions to age-old problems. The Council's arrogance diminished, replaced by a cautious but genuine camaraderie with its newest member. The galaxy entered a golden age of cooperation, sparked by humanity's courage to stand against overwhelming odds. The name Vindicator became a symbol of justice, balance, and the enduring spirit of humanity. And though the stars remained vast and uncertain, one truth was undeniable. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.